go. We're going to pull off to the side of the road. And we're going to kick it into neutral and then first gear. Oh, it looks like we're doing burnouts in the gravel. With the crash in the back, that is... What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. We're going to be jumping back on AMS2 today because I discovered that on the game they have officially licensed the Brabham BT46B, so the car that was driven by Niki Lauda and John Watson at the 1976 Scottish Grand Prix, which Niki Lauda drove to victory. And it's one of my favourite F1 cars of all time, so we're going to jump into it, do a qualifying lap, and then a 9-lap race against 14 other opponents, and we're going to see how we get on. So let's get straight into the driving. So here we are coming out onto the track in our Brabham this whole lap, because this is open qualifying, so everybody's out on the track with us, and the whole goal is to get the tyres warm before our lap, try and create a nice gap between us and the car in front, to get a nice clean lap in. But we should be pretty quick compared to most of these cars. Obviously, as you guys know, fan is at the back, which just gives us so much downforce. Obviously, having a fan on the back of any race car just makes it so quick. There's plenty of examples of that. There's the Red Bull X2010 from Gran Turismo, is super quick because it's got a fan on the back. They had that Van Wall fan car at Goodwood a year or a few years ago. But this car, the Brabham BT46, so from 1976, was the first car in the history of basically ever, at least I'm pretty sure, to have a fan on the car for performance. But it wasn't strictly for at least that's what Brabham claimed. Bernie Eccleston and the engineers at Brabham claimed that the fan was actually for cooling purposes, which they said that to the FIA and to the other teams, basically to try to stop it get banned. Obviously that wasn't the case. But here we go, final chicane, Wall of Champions, and we're going to start this hot lap. Not really sure how good we're going to be, I don't play this game too often, but around we go, down to second gear from the first corner. Circuit at Montreal back in 1988 was a little bit different, some of the curves were a bit higher, a few more guardrails, and then the only noticeable difference to a beginner would be that the back straight before the Wall of Champions has a weird kink in it, and it's not just that normal kink you see, it's got like a proper chicane. Through sector 1, using all of that curb, a little bit of a lag, frame got there, out of the corner we go, tyres are burning up a lot, getting a huge flat spot on that front right, so braking at the 200, more down to second gear, turning in for that chicane, another lag, Christ, and then up to third gear, fourth gear, under the shell banner, towards the hairpin. This is where Robin Kubica had his big crash in 2007, and our one lap, looking pretty good at the moment, across that white line with two wheels, using the space that we can, out we go, fourth gear, fifth gear, now we're going to stay to the right, cut back to the left, and then cutting it back, that was really good. Up to nearly 280 kilometers an hour there. And through the final chicane. That was quite a respectable lap. I'm quite happy with that actually. And to the line, and it's P1 by 1.3 seconds as of right now. Very nice. Jay Watts puts it up, closes the gap to 3/10. But that was a pretty solid lap from us. We're going to take that, and I'll see you guys on the grid for the 9 laps. Okay, so here we are on the grid. We've got 9 laps of the Montreal circuit to get done here. We've got Joel Watts, who is the only other Brabham behind us, who qualified 3/10 behind. So there's only 2 Brabhams in this race, just like the real thing. But we're going to get going, and our goal is a top 2 because this car was so much better than everybody else's, and we're going to see if we lap anybody more. But here we are on the grid, got the lights on ahead of us.
Anyway, 5 red lights, and away we go for the Jehovah Grand Prix.
It's a solid start. It's a very good start, actually. Down towards turn 1. And Watts has already been challenged by one of the Lotuses, I think that is, behind. We're going to swing out wide. But we've instantly just driven away from them there. AI being left for dead and bouncing over the curbs. And we're also just trying to save the tyres a bit as well. But we're away on lap 1. Massively pulling away from the AI and our teammate. Round we go. Trying not to use too much of the tyres. 3rd gear. 4th gear. And then 5th gear clutching in, making sure we don't miss any gears. 2nd gear down into the chicane. Try not to turn too much because that's what flat spotted a bit in qualifying. And look at this, breaking away from the AI at a rate of knots here. Down to 1st gear. Oh! And I think this just goes to show how much better the fan car is compared to everything else around us. Down 5th gear we go, keeping to the right. And then a small lift, we don't need to be taking things too crazy. Up to 6th gear. We're going to go back down to 4th for the World Champion chicane, which is a lot quicker in these days, but we have an enormous gap over our teammate behind, 6 seconds. And he is going to break away from the rest of the pack as this race progresses. He's got a second between him and the next car, but we've got 7 seconds over our teammate down the chicane a second time. I've locked up a bit and I've got off the road, making sure we don't get into some penalties. We haven't, and we're going to continue on, but we're going to make sure we don't do that anymore. He's now starting to pull a gap over the 3rd place man, but under the Mobil 1 gunner, a little bit of understeer. I think I flat spotted that front right a little bit, getting some bad vibrations in the steering. But through the World Champion chicane we go again, down the main straight, now onto lap 3. 2nd gear for turn 1, getting it turned in, and then tiny lock up, and out we go. It's now 4 seconds to Watson. He's actually catching us up a bit. I don't actually have that much more pace than this in this car. Out of the chicane we go, and now we get to take this really flat. Oh, it's not actually going to be flat. It would be flat in basically anything else made after this series of cars, but not in this car. Round we go, getting full power on the exit. The one benefit of having a fan on the back of a Brabham, or on the back of this car, is the grip when applying power or throttle coming out of the corner is just like incredible. You just get that instant grip, and you're able to grip so much on corner exit. It's part of what made this car so unbeatable in the one race it did at the 1976 Swedish Grand Prix. And another cool fact about it actually is it hardly used any fuel, which was really interesting. Like, the fan was so powerful, it could set a pole time against anybody else, but basically have a full tank. When Nicky Lauda came back into the pits after qualifying for the Swedish Grand Prix, Brabham dipstick both Lauda and Watson's cars, and they had hardly used any fuel. They were basically on full tanks because they had relied essentially on the fan for most of the power. They really were only using throttle to get out of a corner, but then once it was on the straight, it was all up to the fan to propel the Brabham along. So that Alfa Romeo engine in the back wasn't actually having to do that much work. Sorry. So the cars are actually quite reliable in turn because of that. The other interesting thing which I've noticed in this, so obviously this is a licensed car, they got the license for the Brabham BT46, but all the names, when you drive the Formula cars of their respective eras, all the names are like a bit different and they're a bit changed because the licensing, they couldn't get the licensing for the names themselves, which is quite funny to see. So for example, Jay Watts in second place, I would assume is supposed to be John Watson, who was one of the two drivers of the Brabham BT46. If you look back to third place, we've got M Confetti, which I think you guys can draw the dots to be Mario Andretti in the Lotus, which is also quite funny. Some of the ones I'm not entirely sure. A. James, I would assume, is Alan Jones in the Williams, the Australian driver who won 2 championships, I do believe. 1 or 2 championships, I'm not entirely sure. Don't know much about Alan Jones. And then you've got E. Fittipaldi, which I guess is one of the ones they could get the licensing for. But out of there we go, and we are just maintaining the 6-second gap with Watson behind. Down into the chicane, tiny bit of a lock up there, and we're just trying not to lock up anymore, because if we keep doing that, keep flat spotting that front right tyre, we're going to be getting into puncture territory, and that would kill our race, so we definitely don't want that. But looking at the track map, we can just see the field spread after, I'm not sure how many laps, I think we're only on about lap 5. Obviously with my TV, Automobilista 2, it doesn't fit the resolution correctly, so the only thing I lose because of that is I don't see what lap I'm on. And there we go, still having an absolute blast in this car. The gap's down to 5.4 seconds across the line. But you guys are going to have to comment on which lap I'm on. Obviously I won't see that, but might get the viewer participation up slightly. Out of turn 2, getting as close to the grass as I dare. Down to second gear. A tiny bit of a lock up on the way in. It's not what we want. Really using those curves. The curves are just enormous. Back on these old circuits, they wouldn't pass today, not at all. I mean, obviously we have sausage curbs, which still need to be banned, in my humble opinion, but, like, even these curbs wouldn't fly, according to the FIA. Down the back, straight up to 5th gear. Down into the chicane. Car is starting to turn a little bit easier. I think the tyres, although they are more worn, I think they are starting to even out. So the left-handed corners are starting to become a little bit easier. It's just a good thing that most of these corners are left-handed corners. Bouncing down the main straight, this tyre, that front right tyre is taking a beating. As I say that, I've had a big lock up there. That's going to cost us dearly. We're actually going to have to shift down to first gear just to get the car turned in. And that tyre is really starting to get flat now. And it's going to allow Watson to catch up with the curves. The curves probably won't be helping the tyre much either. But that is the one thing. Although this Brabham was so miraculous with downforce and was so quick, the tyres of the time did struggle to handle it. So they were burning up their tyres incredibly quickly, because the tyres of the time of the 17s, oops, touch the grass there, I'm going to go off, damn it. Come back onto the circuit, that wasn't good. But yeah, but the tyres of the 1970s, they just weren't designed to cope with the forces which the Brabham was producing. So I think, honestly, having the car being withdrawn by Mr. Ecclestone, it was a bit of a blessing in disguise, because I think it could have gotten really ugly. Tyres probably would have been letting go, high-speed punctures, all that stuff. So I think they were lucky that they pulled it out when they did. There were so many safety concerns surrounding the Brabham BT46B. 4th gear on the way in, there you go. Not sure when the end of this race is. Honestly, this could have been the last lap, but I just don't know. Down to turn 1. And yeah, really struggling to turn now. Watson's catching up, back down to 6.1 seconds. And it's now about holding on in our Brabham and protecting against that threat from Watson. So this race is actually starting to come alive a bit. Down to first gear for the chicane. Just trying to take some life out of the left-hand front side tyre, just to take the load off of the right-hand side. Because you can see those flat spots on the surface of the tyre, which is really starting to hamper my pace. A few of those lock-ups cost me very dearly indeed. But under the shell banner we go, down towards the hairpin. been a scene of quite a few accidents over the years, this hairpin, from Montero and Albers to Kubica, the whole lot. Michael Schumacher, I think, came to grief in that hairpin once or twice, Felipe Massa as well. But around this chicane, that chicane is actually quite a nice addition. Obviously I can see why they got rid of it after 1988, but it is pretty cool to see how or what it was like back then. But oh, and that is the end of this race. We're going to come across the line, we're going to win, and that is a victory. I didn't even realise we were on lap 9, but there it is. P1 after 9 laps in our grab, and we held on with that frankly ruined tyre. But there we go, cool down lap active, and that is us winning. Come on, yes. Ah, brilliant. Here we go. We're going to pull off to the side of the road. And we're going to kick it into neutral and then first gear. Oh, it looks like we're doing burnouts in the gravel. But there you have it. That has been this race. And for once on LazGamez, it's been a minute coming. We've actually won a race. So there you have it, guys. Oh, there you have it, everybody. This has been this video driving the gravel Automobilista 46B. Hopefully you all enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making this. It was great fun to drive this car. It's one of my favourite F1 cars. Not quite my favourite, it's up there in my top 5. But yeah, that'll do it. Take care, have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys in a later video. See you later.